Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Women's Soccer Show. I'm Sara.
And I'm Allie.
And we are very excited, as always, to be here talking about women's soccer, because that's what we do.
That's what we do, and it has been a weekend, my friend, like across all leagues.
I feel like in these months, it really always is, because it's like being a kid in a candy shop. You could literally sit on your couch and watch soccer all day long the entire weekend if you wanted to. Which is what most of us did, right?
Yeah, this is true.
Not you. You went to see West Ham Brighton and met up with Mike, who edits this pod.
I was going to say, that was the highlight, was I got to see Mike and Zach.
Yeah, you guys sent me a cute photo of the squad, because we got a lot of photos of when we, are bouncing around the Euros, watching the games together. You guys took me to, I don't know, what was it called? Nando's?
I took you to Nando's, and then me and Mike took you to the great British tradition that is a Witherspoons.
Okay, yeah.
I told my friend that when me and Mike met up, and my friend was like, "Oh Jesus, do you hate your co-host? Like, why?"
Yeah, it was let's just say it wasn't memorable. He didn't even remember what it was called. But we've got a great episode today. We're going to highlight Game of the Week from the NWSL, which we haven't gotten to do yet since the season started. We're obviously going to talk WSL, top of the table, bottom of the table, middle of the table, it's all happening. And we've got a really fun interview with Bristol City's Jasmine Bull. Bristol City, as you all know, just got promoted. They'll be back in the WSL next season, and we were really excited for this interview. So let's do it.
So we are going to start off with the NWSL, and this will be our game of the week. Firstly, though, there is a shout out to North Carolina Courage versus Portland, because that was a game and a half.
That was fun.
3-3 draw with an own goal, 2 Crystal Dawn goals, and some absolute worldies.
Is an old rivalry being renewed?
I would say so, because Reign isn't getting there, so...
What are you talking about? Reign is sitting at the top of the table right now.
Yeah, but I mean, like, they're doing Reign things.
What in the world are you talking about?
I'm on about rivalry-wise, because Reign have got their own
got it.
Reign have got their own problems to deal with, so they're not getting in the nitty-gritty, whereas I think Portland NCC is an interesting
we
one.
haven't gotten a Portland Reign battle yet this season either. But that's coming in June, everybody, so stay tuned. But we are here to talk about Chicago Red Stars versus Gotham FC. Gotham took this 2-1, and there's a lot to talk about in this game, Allie.
Yeah, no, 100%. Big thing was, and we use this all the time, it's a football cliche for a reason, but it was a game of two halves. It was all Gotham first half. Chicago came fighting back second half, but couldn't quite beat out Gotham. And I think one of the most interesting things for me is we're seeing teams that were propping up the table last season.
That's an English phrase I'm just learning. Propping up the table means sitting at the bottom.
It does.
I like that.
Yeah, propping up the table. And we're seeing now that they are labelled as fourth, but they are technically second. It's just goal difference that is keeping them. We're all level on points. So it's, as expected, an explosive start to the NWSL season.
Yeah, and to that point, Washington Spirit, they're sitting just ahead of Gotham right now in third place. They were right down there with Gotham at the bottom of the table at the end of the season last year. I feel like it's kind of a misnomer, and I guess I'll just I feel like I need to put this out here right now, that when I talk about Gotham, I think I'm going to sound really negative. But it's because I think that they're underachieving, I think is why I'm talking about it like this. It's just, it becomes disappointing. Frankly, Gotham sitting in fourth place, I don't really know that they've been playing well enough to be sitting in fourth place right now, but let's get into it. I actually feel like Chicago might be possibly the more interesting storyline. I mean, a loss for Chicago here leaves them in last place. And when we think about Chicago, I feel like the headline that comes to mind is that they're missing Mallory Swanson, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before that Mal Swanson was propping up Chicago and the US national team at the time, and Chicago is clearly missing that influence. And it's not just her style of play, it's the influence she has, it's the clever runs she makes, it's her personality and her leadership, and it just seems to have just sunk for Chicago since she went off injured.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Chicago's season was definitely going to be hanging by the thread that was Mal Swanson. Like, everything felt like it was going to be hinging on Mal Swanson when this season started, right? Because they lost so many players in the interim, because they are going to have to continue to rebuild, but you really look across their roster and they've still got a ton of stars. I mean, just in their back line, it's U.S. #1 goalkeeper Alyssa Nair, and right in front of her is Tierna Davidson and Casey Kruger. So starting there, there's still a ton of talent on this team. And what I think is interesting, and what the point that I'm getting onto here, is that when Swanson went down, I think the assumption was that, oh no, where are Chicago's goals going to come from? But actually, where the problem lies with Chicago is not in their front line. It's not where are the goals.
They're scoring. Like, they are able to score.
Yeah. So I think that's the interesting piece of this, is that the problem lies in the defensive line, in the fact that they haven't been able to find that cohesion. They've never kept a clean sheet all season. And on the flip side of it, Chicago as a whole, in the 6 games of this regular season, have scored 11 goals and allowed 15. There are only 3 teams in the league that have scored more goals than Chicago. But Chicago are just leaking way more goals than any other team, frankly. They've allowed the most goals in and are close to having scored the most goals. And if you want to wonder what's going on with Chicago, that is your answer right there.
Are you basically saying that Chicago is the Reading of the NWSL?
I suppose. I suppose. But I want to spend a moment talking about this back line, because we just talked about the stars that make up the core of this back line and goalkeeping, presence. So what's going on here?
It looks like that it is the case of that just they haven't worked out what works for them. And yeah, that should be something that's done in training and things like that. But it's just like, especially like, we'll get onto Gotham, but you look at that first goal, the one that was in 5 minutes, that was such a defensive miscommunication.
It was abysmal. Like, to say it was a defensive miscommunication
it was
is
shocking.
Almost kind.
It was shocking.
It's almost kind to label it that, because it was horrendous defending.
Yeah, and it's like you say, you've got 3 of the US's top players in the defensive stratosphere in this Chicago team. And to allow that to happen, it's like, that is definitely a hang your head, we've got to get back to the drawing board type.
Yeah, I feel like it's a few things. Number one, I'll say I prefer Casey Kruger as an outside back. And within the Chicago Red Star structure, she is playing center back paired with Tierna Davidson. Now, first of all, I think that it's just a symptom of the back line not gelling yet, right? So the 4 of them, it's not just Tierna Davidson and Casey Kruger who need to gel. It is Tierna Davidson, Casey Kruger, Milazzo, and Jillian who all need to gel as a back 4. That hasn't happened yet. Along with that, I do think it needs to be mentioned, your 2 starting center backs are both coming back. Tierna Davidson from injury and Casey Kruger from pregnancy. That's a lot of time spent off the field, and that does affect you not just not just physically, but also mentally. And so there might be an element of refinding their game again, which is interesting because I feel like Casey Kruger has been playing so well, but it's possible she's been playing so well individually and their back line is still struggling to work together.
That's the thing. You can have a player that is stunning individually, but a game's not won by 1 player, it's won by 11 players. And if your defensive line and you are not in sync, and I think Nair has got to take a lot of responsibility for that, because your goalkeeper is one of the biggest parts of your defensive line. Not just in the fact that they're a shot stopper, it's the fact that they need to be shouting instructions and controlling your back line. And if you can't get that chemistry... Sarah's giving me faces.
I kind of disagree. I mean, I'm really not going to hang this on Alyssa Nair. This is on the back line. This is on the back line to gel together, to communicate. And, like that first goal was not Alyssa Nair's fault. If she's focused on the cross that's coming in, somebody else needs to be talking to, the right center back or the right back to get on the back post. That's not Alyssa Nair. I think it's your core back line needs to gel, and then you can add in the gelling with the goalkeeper, but truly you need to have that leadership from your center backs. I think that's where it lies. But the second half, did they play amazing? No. But did they turn it around and stop leaking goals and able to get one back? Yes. And I think a huge piece of that is that they switched from this, I don't want to call it a more defensive formation, a pretty normal formation, into a very attacking heavy formation, which I love. if you're leaking goals, but you can score, lean into it. Just say, okay, we're going to just try to outscore you. Period. The end. And I know that's not what they were expecting, having lost Mal Swanson, but Penelope Hawking, their first round draft pick, is an absolute star. I think she's going to be the rookie of the year.
I was going to say she's such a baby, but has been so fantastic for them.
Yeah.
She slotted into that Chicago machine probably earlier than she probably thought she was going to have to, because obviously Swanson going out. But she's come out and gone, right, okay, this is why you picked me first. Come on then.
I couldn't agree more. And I honestly think Ella Stevens, who plays kind of the number 9 role, isn't given enough credit. She's already got 2 goals on the season. We're only 6 games in. She scored in this past game. There are goals coming for Chicago, and I would love to see them lean more heavily into that. And I think in doing so, it might invite less pressure into their back line, which it really did in the second half of this game, and will allow them to figure out what they need to figure out in the meantime.
But moving on from Chicago to the victors of Gotham FC, we said it was a game of 2 halves. First half, I thought they were really on it, really fantastic. We wanted attacking, they were attacking. Like I said, they got the goal really quickly. You again disagree with me.
No, I don't disagree with you. This is my look on my face is just my disappointment, because yes, Gotham scored. Jenna Nightswonger, we're going to come, I promise I'm going to talk about the positives. But as a whole, even in this first half, when Gotham came out 2-0 into halftime, it wasn't great soccer. It really wasn't. And with how terribly the Chicago defense was playing, quite frankly, 2-0 is a bit of a disappointment for Gotham. This is one of those games that playing well should truly have equated to 3 or more goals in that first half, and certainly not a 2-1 scoreline by the end of it.
Ooh. Are you sure you're going to be positive about them?
Well, what did you like from them? Let's start there. What did you like from them in the first half?
I did. I thought they were very attacking minded, so I did enjoy that. Yes, they weren't pinging balls and the fastest, but they seemed to have a game plan. They were methodical, because not every football match needs to be fast and furious. You can have a game plan and bring it out. I loved Lynn Williams, but that goes without saying. I think she was back in form. What Gotham has been missing, what they missed last season, she has been brought in. Hannah's brought in that something.
I love that you said that. I actually wrote an article for the Local W that's probably going to be out by the time this episode comes out. And it's all about how Lynn Williams, Jenna Nightswonger, and Sinead Farley, the three of the newcomers for Gotham, have been exactly what they need in terms of the energy. We can talk about Lynn Williams' goal scoring ability, because there have been 2 games that Gotham has been shut out. They haven't scored any goals. And with the exception of those 2 games, Lynn Williams has scored in every single game for Gotham, including the Challenge Cup. So, I mean, what a monster. Talk about playing yourself onto the U.S. women's national team, first and foremost. But my main point here is that it's in the energy that they bring. It's in the work rate. Watching Gotham last year was painful, because there was not a lot of energy coming in. And I feel like that's what they bring to the field. And I want to spend a moment on Jenna Nightswonger, talking about positives. She's a huge positive. And speaking of rookies, she's also, so far, in my opinion, Rookie of the Year candidate, first round draft pick for Gotham. She's been playing in the back position, and she was pushed forward into the midfield, winger position. And she got her first NWSL goal within the first 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, that was absolutely fabulous. She did come off slightly early, which was a bit of a concern.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So they talked about that in the post game. And she was obviously asked about that, and she said she got cleated, and there was a stud cut her, and it needed stitches, and she was so casual about it. She was just yeah, stud cut me up, and I needed stitches, so I can go back in, but I'm totally fine. Stitches are in, we're all good. And then, oh my gosh, well, speaking of, and then the head coach, Juan Carlos, came on, was asked about Michelle Betos, because Michelle Betos was not starting, was not on the team. It was said she was hurt, and he goes, yeah, she broke some bones in her hand partway through the game versus North Carolina, but she wanted to stick it out in the game, so she played most of that game with some broken bones in her hand, but she'll be back in a few weeks.
Betos.
Oh my goodness, that's hardcore.
I was going to say, this is a hardcore team.
From the NWSL to the WSL, there is a lot to talk about. And I don't even know what I want to start with. It's probably not the same one you want to start with, but my jaw dropped when I saw Liverpool versus Manchester City scoreline.
That was a huge one. I was at the Brighton game with a Man City fan, and they announced the scores at halftime and at the end of the game so that people know where they are. And I have to say that the Villa result got a massive cheer because obviously that's helping Brighton in their bid to stay up. And then the Man City score came, and a lot of curse words came out of my friend's mouth because it's one that you don't expect. Like, Liverpool have had a really great peak of a start, then fell really far, and then have had a bit of a bobble again. But then to come out and basically, effectively, they've stopped Man City now. Man City now, unless a miracle happens, cannot be champions.
Mathematically eliminated. They are statistically unable to win the WSL title this year.
Exactly. And not only that, it has severely dented their chances of getting Champions League next year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all Arsenal fans and United fans were both like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, Man United fans are happy because they now, even if they have to beat Man United 9-0 in the derby, which, let's face it, that isn't happening, to finish above Man United this season. So Man United fans are happy that they're going to finish above City this season. And Arsenal are like, great, Champions League is back in our hands because City stuffed it.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, so I know we want to focus on the top of the table because we've done a lot of talking about the bottom of the table. I mean, yes, so we were looking at Arsenal as Arsenal knew that City had to drop one game. And if City dropped one game and Arsenal won out, then Arsenal would end up in that third spot in getting the Champions League. We were both looking at the City United game as the main game that City could probably lose, right? So with this, Arsenal obviously still have to win out and have a hell of a season left, might I just add, including Chelsea and Aston Villa to close the season. So it could certainly still help Arsenal for City to lose to United, because this is by no means over and in Arsenal's hands. It's just a little more in their control. It is now fully in their control, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So that is huge. I think we've said it before. We haven't said it for a while. Taylor out at the end of this season.
Yeah, that's true. We haven't said that in a while. Let's put that back in
out there.
Put that back in the world.
Unimaginative and City needs some fresh ideas and he's not it. So
I could not agree more. And you know what? With some fresh ideas in the head coaching role, they'll probably get some key players that have exited City, most likely because of the head coaching role.
Exactly. So,
and I know we're focusing on the top of the table here, but I do want to say it seems that, barring a miracle, Liverpool with this win have escaped relegation.
Yep. Liverpool safe now, pretty much. So they can, successful first season, manage to keep in the WSL. Now they can kick on for next season.
But speaking of Manchester, moving from City to United, United took down Tottenham 3-0 this past weekend. A solid result. I mean, we knew Tottenham was struggling, and I think this is a solid win for United. I frankly don't have too much to say. That this was a non-shocking scoreline for me.
It was only shocking for me because I was watching it in the bar as I was waiting for the game. And for me, it was why it wasn't more. And I think this is going to be probably Man United's downfall in terms of winning the title, is because, yes, they're winning, but they're winning by smaller amounts compared to Chelsea and Arsenal. And before that first goal by Galton, they should have been up already 2 or 3. Nikita Paris missed an absolute sitter and skied it. You had Galton, who in the end she was offside, but should have got a header and it ended up hitting the goalpost. They just were not. They couldn't hit a barn door at 10 paces in the beginning, and then the 2 goals came from, and what we've been talking about all season, Tottenham defence. They were 2 shocking Tottenham defensive errors for those first 2 goals.
I think it's a fair point to say that United have had a harder time than, say, a Chelsea putting away a bunch of goals. Specifically, Alessia Russo she's scored quite a few goals. I think that people are giving her a bit of a hard time, but Alessia Russo's on 10 goals for the season. All right. She's tied with Beth England, Leah Galton, and Sam Kerr on 10 goals for the season. Ella Toon's a different story, and I think it's fair to question if maybe there needs to be a little more production from her. But that being said, United absolutely dominated this game. Like, when you're talking about the run of play, absolutely dominant and looked good doing it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Though I would like to give a shout out to the keeper that Spurs put in, which was Corpler, because she made some insane saves to keep it at only 3-0. Like I said, she was let down by her back line for the first two, and the third goal was a Paris special that you couldn't do much about.
So speaking of scoring a lot of goals, the other top of the table win that we want to talk about is, I mean, the two teams who are battling it out for the title right now, Chelsea and United. And Chelsea made a statement coming off of that Champions League exit, 7-0 versus Everton.
Yeah, it's a day Everton are going to want to forget, because it was 5-0 first half. Like, it was just... I think Chelsea have realised that it could come down to goal difference. They do have the 2 games in hand, which is going to put them in good stead. But it was just, they were on a mission because they need to get their title race back on track, because obviously, as we've said so many times before, Champions League was the goal. Champions League was the one thing Emma Hayes has not won. They're now out of that, so they now need to come away with some silverware. They lost the Conti Cup. They are in the FA Cup final.
We are looking at a moment where potentially, and I'm not saying this is going to happen or even that I think this can happen, but potentially Chelsea will not get Conti Cup. They will not get Champions League. They could lose the FA Cup final to United and miss out on the title for the WSL to United. And to lose both of those to United will be, I don't even know the word for it, a changing of the guards, quite honestly. If that's what happened, if United are able to get both, it will be a monumentous moment in this WSL, a changing of the guards for sure. Let's go around the world. Around the world, around the world.
Over to France. And what a weekend for the French League. A tie in the Parisian derby has blown the race for Champions League wide open. A Lyon win over Dijon has put them 3 points ahead of their rivals PSG. However, Paris FC have now jumped back to third because close rivals Fleury 91 lost to Montpellier.
Over to Germany, emphatic wins for both Wolfsburg and Bayern Munich is keeping this title race very tight. Just 1 point between the two teams and 3 games to go. This is going to come down to the final day.
To Scotland, all 3 Glasgow teams won this weekend, once again proving that the Scottish League is one of the most exciting at the moment. Glasgow City are currently in pole position with a 5-point lead. However, all 3 teams have to play each other again. It is truly in anyone's hands.
And finally, over to Mexico. A loss for Monterrey has granted an opening for Guadalajara to jump back on top of the league. Guadalajara play on Tuesday against Pachuca, and if Pachuca pull off a surprise win, they will leapfrog Tigres into 3rd place.
Have you checked out Total Football Analysis yet? TotalFootballAnalysis.com provides researched analysis on loads of football games, including women's football. Want to know why Miedemar scores so many goals? Do you want to explore how City have turned it around this season? Head over to TotalFootballAnalysis.com and sign up to learn more about the beautiful game. We have a special discount for listeners of the Women's Soccer Show. At checkout, type WOSO10 to get a full year for €10. That's €40 off the yearly subscription. Head over to TotalFootballAnalysis.com and type WOSO10 at checkout.
And finally, we have a wonderful interview with Jazz Bull from Bristol City, who have just secured their place back into the WSL for next season. We talk about playing for Bristol, about an unlikely rivalry within her family, and the surprising song that was the locker room anthem for Bristol City this season. So check it out. This is us with Jasmine Bull.
All right, Allie, you want to kick it off?
I'm going to start off. So you signed your first professional contract in June 2022 with Bristol City. I know you played for their big rivals Rovers as well, but if you want to give us a little brief history onto how you led everything that led you to Bristol City?
So my family are all Rovers fans. I was hoping that wouldn't get dug out.
And that's the first thing.
Get it away at the start, yeah. Maybe best to do that. Hopefully people will forget by the end.
Yeah, it's all right. Whoever's going to turn it off is just going to turn it off now.
Yeah. I guess when I was younger, I just played grassroots football really, which is just like local clubs. I played with boys till I was about 13 years old. And I went to a girls team, which like I loved, and started playing for my local county. At this point, like I never even thought football could be a career or anything like that. I was just loving the sport, loved being competitive, loved playing with the boys. And then from there, when I started playing with the girls, really, is when I started to probably find my feet a bit more. So when I started playing for my county, there was like Southwest regional camps. So I started going to them, and then that's when it kind of got more serious. But I didn't actually go. I think I moved to, my family being Rovers fans is obviously a huge rivalry. So I didn't actually go to City till I was 17 at the time. So 1 year before I signed my pro. So I had 1 year in the academy, 1 year between academy and first team, training the first team, but not on contract. And then this year as a contract. So, I mean, it was actually during COVID that I was like, let's just put my pride aside, not think about the badge.
Was that really something you had to work through? You were like, I can't wear this jersey?
No, it wasn't. For me, it's not as much, but for like my grandparents, it's much more of a thing. So it was like, just to let you know, like now I'm playing for City, and it didn't go down well to begin with, but now like he understands a bit more of the difference between the two and why I've chose what I've done. So now and I'm glad I made the decision.
Do they wear your shirt? Are they able to put that on and wear that badge? Or will they say, no, we'll support you, but we can't quite put that badge on yet?
Yeah, so my mum now has loads of City shirts. I think she's actually more of a City fan now, but my granddad, I don't think it's going to happen.
I was going to say, we're aware that your mother is in the stands quite often supporting you. So she there in full kit, like being like, name and number on the back.
Yeah, she is a little hooligan. She loves it. Honestly, I think if she could do a pitch invasion every week, I think she would. But it's so nice to have her there.
So you mentioned that you play with the boys until you were like 13, and this is going to sound very American of me, but it's just really interesting to get into the difference in like the systems and how people come up. That seems to be a really common story for a lot of professional women's soccer players, that they had to play with the boys before they got to an age where there were competitive enough women's teams for them. Is that a pretty common story among people for like, because you're young, you're 20 years old, right? I don't even want to think about what year you were born in because that terrifies me.
Yeah.
So you would think it would be different for somebody like you who, you were only 13 like 7 years ago. And ideally you would have hoped that it would have been a little different by then.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think there might have been one or two female teams. I know Bristol did have in the academy, but like I say, because the Rovers thing, and because I used to be really scared to trial for anything, I just never really put my name forward. So, I mean, now it's so much different. Like, so many more girls are getting involved, and it's so good to see. But yeah, back then, I think playing with the boys definitely helped me in terms of speed of the game and physicality and stuff like that. So I think it's helped. But now that there's so many more girls playing, it makes it so much more competitive.
Yeah. And I got to ask, because I mentioned I was doing some research and I saw your LinkedIn. I need to know how outdated this is. Are you still working as a part-time sales manager?
Yes.
You're still working as a part-time sales manager with your professional soccer career?
Yeah, so I actually have 2 other jobs as well as football. So I work for a company called Habu, which is like e-commerce fulfillment, and then I work with a shin pad company as well. So yeah, it's pretty full on.
Oh my goodness. I mean, sadly, you're not the only one who we've spoken to who's had to have, second, third jobs. Yeah. Hopefully that'll change as you get, into the WSL, hopefully get those bigger contracts, right?
I really hope so. But yeah, it's what you do because it's such a passion. It would never be a reason. I would always do it. I wouldn't even think about not doing it. But yeah, fingers crossed that can hopefully change.
Yeah.
That was a great segue, by the way, Sarah, because we are going to talk all things Bristol City, specifically the positives of the fact that you guys have been promoted back to the WSL. So what's this season been like for you individually and as Bristol City as a team as a whole?
For me individually, I think I've learned so much this year, more than like on a personal level and as a professional footballer. There's so much that I've learned in terms of just being amongst these group of girls every day. it's been so good in terms of all working towards the same thing that we've all had to pull together. We've had some ups and downs as the season has gone on. We have not had it easy by any means. So it was amazing. And to win it there at Ashton Gate last weekend, it was just meant to be. It just felt like fate. It was, such a good feeling.
That's awesome. I gotta ask, because we talked, first of all, I was such a fan of Bristol City when they were in the WSL. I was so sad to see them get relegated. So I'm really happy to see you guys promoted again. But the squad looks different, obviously, than it did the last time it was in the WSL. We talk a lot on this podcast. We like to discuss kind of the difference between, there's kind of like two ways that we've seen teams handle the promotion from the championship to the WSL. It's either they completely, clean house and wipe the slate clean, or they just tweak a couple minor adjustments, but they keep their players, on the field that won the championship. And, recently, I'm sure it was heartbreaking for you to hear that there were 5 players who were released from Bristol City. I'm curious, now that the season's over, like, what is the feeling now looking ahead to the WSL next year for you and just amongst the team, if you have a pulse on kind of like a general feeling for the team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's really hard to see people move on or people go their own ways after achieving such a good thing this year. I mean, it is part of football, but it's not nice to see, and it could be anyone. With football, you can never be too comfortable. But all the girls that have left or will go on to do other things, they're all going to go and smash it wherever they go. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so when we go up to WSL, hopefully we're just absolutely going to show the table what we can do.
I love it. Go ahead, Allie. You were about to say something.
I
feel like we're going to ask the same question.
No, I was going to say, is there a team you're looking forward to playing?
So we played Man City twice this year, and they beat us both times quite heavily. So I think to play them again, I think we almost want to put right what went wrong both times, because that scoreline, we want to show people what we are about. So that'll be a team that I definitely want to give a good game.
Your first professional contract, your first professional year, it's this massive season. I don't even have a question other than, do you feel like your view of this is totally skewed? Because you've had this ride that I feel like people play so many years to win a title, whatever title it is. You can play 10 years and not win a title. And your first professional contract, you're winning this title. How do you frame that in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just been incredible. I've loved every single second of it. Yeah. And I didn't, like I said, when I was a little girl, I didn't think I'd ever be able to do this. So it's just such a surreal feeling. And to do it in my hometown as well, it's just so special. I mean, it's just I'm so grateful for the staff and everyone to give me this opportunity and to give me this contract. It's just, I can't even describe the feeling, really. It is just something else.
We got to ask Brie Vasali about the NWSL Challenge Cup celebrations, the post game drinking, if you will. So we got to ask, how was that celebration when you finally clinched it?
I feel like it was just mad. The only word to describe it was mad. It was just everyone was buzzing. The changing room. I think being in the changing room after the game I think that was probably one of the highlights for me, because everyone was just gleaming. It was just mental. And what song
was playing on loop? What's the song that you guys always have on after a win?
So after every win, we always play Unwritten. And
Natasha Bedingfield?
Yes, yeah. As a team, we love that song. So when we won the league last week, we had the song on in the stadium with the fans still there, and we started singing it with them, and it was just a really special moment to share that with them.
That's so sweet.
Yes, but that was on the change room as well. I think, well, actually, we had it on. So yesterday we went to bottomless brunch, and we were in the karaoke machine, and we had it on. And it turns out I've been singing the wrong lyrics all year, but it doesn't really matter now.
What's the wrong lyric? Tell us the wrong lyric and then the right lyric.
You know what? I can't remember the right lyric. And I'm not even going to go into it because I embarrass myself, but just know it was the wrong lyric.
I do feel like it's one of those songs where you sing gibberish words, and it's not until you have to sing them with other people around that you're oh, I'm not making sense in what I think the song is saying right now.
I'll just completely hear a completely different word, but I'll be so certain that it's right, and I've done that the whole year, so brilliant.
I'm going to age myself, but my song for that was Never Ever by All Saints. I was convinced I was singing it right for so long.
I'm
I
so
knew
sorry.
why.
I have no idea what that is.
No, I don't know
You're not that much younger than me, Sarah. Anyway, moving on.
I'll age myself for you, Allie. In college, our song was "Leave" by like "Get Out" by JoJo.
I love JoJo.
That was our song. That was our
Yeah.
jam. Yeah.
I do like a bit of JoJo.
Yeah, it's a good pump up.
Yeah, no, it is.
Okay, moving on before my feelings get even more hurt. We're going to take you through a regular segment that we have that our listeners absolutely love, that I came up with, so I'm going to take ownership of it. It's called Shirts of Our Lives, and basically what it is, we'll ask you 3 questions, and you just need to say what football shirt would symbolise that best. So, for example, the first question I'm going to ask you is, what shirt symbolises the beginning of your football journey? So that could be the first shirt you ever put on to play. That could be a Bristol Rovers shirt to go watch them play. But what is it that really cemented the start of your footballing journey?
You know, I'm going to have to say Manchester United.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this is
curveball.
Yeah, this is because my other granddad is a huge United fan. And I just remember having pictures of Ronaldo up on my wall and posters and God knows what I was bedding the whole lot. So it's got to be Man United.
Wow. I was not expecting that, but
No.
I mean, makes a lot of sense. Did you have a United shirt or was it
Yeah,
more okay?
No, I think I had a bit of everything.
Awesome. All right. Second question is, which shirt symbolizes the turning point in your career? This doesn't necessarily mean, like too professional, just whatever you feel like the turning point was.
I feel like that's got to be my county shirt when I started playing county level. I think that was the turning point for me.
Is that when you transitioned from playing with the boys to with the girls?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does that look like? I'm always curious when people can describe their jerseys.
Oh, it wasn't the most. It was just literally plain blue shorts, plain blue socks. It was plain and simple, but
okay.
Yeah.
I guess you weren't playing in the 90s. Everybody we've had on that's like played in the 90s is like, oh, it was nylon, it had like stripes and it was green and it was purple.
No, none of that.
Okay.
Finally, on this segment, what shirt symbolizes your proudest moment or biggest success in football?
It's got to be the City shirt. It's got to be last weekend. Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. It's a big moment.
I think if I didn't say that, then there'd be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, first professional contract and everything, that makes a lot of sense.
That club, I owe the club a lot. Yeah.
So I feel like we've talked about your past, your present. I'm curious because I mean, we've mentioned how young you are so many times. Sorry to bring it back, but you've got hopefully, a massive career in front of you. It sounds trivial, but I'm curious, what are your goals? What are your ambitions? What do you, when you look towards the future, what do you want?
For me, like I've never really had set in stone, like this is what I want, this is what I'm going to achieve, because like with football, as long as I'm enjoying it, I feel like that's when I'm at my best.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as I keep enjoying it, hopefully, who knows where I'll end up. And yeah, that is literally all I'd say. As long as I'm enjoying it.
That's an awesome mindset. It's such a great mindset to go into. All right, we always end with 2 of the same closing questions. So our first closing question, I'm curious, what is we call it like a both and moment from your career where you both worked really hard and had an opportunity come about that you were able to take advantage of?
That's a really good question, actually. I feel
Thank you.
Sorry. I feel like maybe it was last season when I was working towards trying to get that contract. I think the opportunity that came through was for me to be able to train with the first team, and then it was using that opportunity to try and get that achievement. So yeah, I think it's that.
Nice. I'm glad you like that question. We came up with it because we were like, everybody talks about luck and everybody talks about hard work, but let's talk about how opportunities really come about because of the combination of the two. It's never one or the other. So, but it is a thinker.
Yeah.
The next one's easier, I promise.
I'm just gonna
we'll see.
No, I'm gonna quickly follow up on something slightly different. Which is, can we talk about Lauren Smith for a minute? Because I know the fans have a huge love for Lauren Smith. So what's it like to be under her tutelage, because she's come in with such a goal and achieved it so quickly to get back into the WSL. So just give our listeners a little bit of an insight on.
Yeah, so she's like my first professional manager. It almost feels like she's taken me under her wing and completely trusted me, and I completely trust her. And I think to have that relationship with a coach and manager is something really important, because I'm always going to give her my best, and I know that she'll always give me her best. So yeah, to have her as a manager is really good.
That's huge. Is that the first coach who you've really felt that trust with, where, I mean, because that's hard to come by.
Yeah. I mean, previously, like growing up, because I've gone through a few teams, or I changed a few teams when I was younger in terms of grassroots play with girls and the boys. I think Lauren is like my first manager that has really, like, the trust is really there. So for me, like, that is really special. So I feel, really lucky.
Was that a massive part of really wanting to sign with Bristol City, or was that something that came about, like you signed for other reasons and then you're like, oh, I fell into this insanely lucky situation where we just have a fantastic relationship and she's incredible?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was, that's actually a really good question as well. No, like, I mean, obviously I'm really lucky to work with her and that she's be able to trust me, but I feel like that is something that I can give, and the fact that we're working together to get the best out of me and her I feel like that's hard to come by.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's pretty telling as to why Bristol City was able to do so well this season, if she can develop those types of relationships with her players.
Yeah, I mean, it says a lot. I mean, like, we've had a lot of players come through the academy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at least, I think at one point, like, there was half of us at one point. And it just says a lot of how much that she trusts the club and the pathway coming through. And that's massive for younger girls, especially in Bristol.
Okay, now I will take the question that I was supposed to ask you, which is, very simply, World Cup or Olympics? That can be to watch it, to participate in. Which is your favourite?
This is a good one as well. World Cup is huge. In terms of football, I feel like that is something that is massive. But then again, the Olympics is, like, unreal. But if I had to go for one, I think I would go World Cup.
Love it. All right. That is it. Jazz, thank you so much for being on. Everybody go follow Jazz on social media. Do you want to throw out any of your handles?
I actually don't know my Twitter name, but
I'll find it for you.
Just
All right. You are at Jasmine Bull 3 on Twitter.
Thank you. That's the one.
We're really excited to see you in the WSL next year. We'll follow along, and then hopefully we'll have you back on, like mid-season, and check in on that Manchester City game.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully be a good one.
And I'll see you when you play the Mighty Hammers.
Oh, is that where you're going to be?
Yeah, I'm a West Ham fan from me since. So
that'd be a good game as well.
Couldn't go a whole interview without sliding that one in.
Of course I couldn't.
And that is it for us here at the Women's Soccer Show. Head over to our Patreon. Allie, we're doing a special News in 10 this week. Will you give a little preview on what it is?
So as I was coming back from football on Sunday, we saw a story that's happening with Colney Heath and their blatant disrespect for their women's team. So we're going to get into that on News in 10. Also check out our Patreon, because we are doing a World Cup special. We are doing 8 special episodes where we talk about the different groups and the likelihood of who's going to go out the groups, who's going to not going to get out, and all sorts of things. And we've got a special guest, and it's just going to be fantastic.
So check it out. That is all on our Patreon account. For the Women's Soccer Show, I've been Sarah.
And I've been Allie.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
This podcast was edited by Monkey Hill Media. Visit monkeyhillmedia.com for more information.